gonna try something.
Yes, we're gonna do something crazy, you guys.
All right, how's that?
Is this any better? Can you guys hear? Is it better or worse?
All right.
All right. Thank you guys so much for letting us know. I'll do that intro again. So my name is Vanessa Oliver, and I'm a registered dietitian with UKHR Health and Wellness. And I'm here with Chef T from the Food Connection Kitchen, and we're collaborating to deliver you a series of cooking demos this fall. This is the second in the series, and we're talking about sheet pan recipes. We chose sheet pan recipes because we're big fans. It's one pan, easy prep, easy cleanup. You can just, hang out and watch TikTok while it's cooking in the oven and really not have to worry about anything. But it's also Work and Family Month this October, and these types of recipes tend to be kind of fun, family friendly, and again, with that easy prep and easy cleanup, it gives you more time to hang out with your family and less stress about cooking a meal. So we'll be delivering 3 recipes for you today. And also just a little heads up, we will be opening registration for the 3rd in our series, in this cooking demo series, which will be November 15th from 12:15 to 1:15, and that will be a concept called the Everlasting Meal, where we will be talking about sort of methods to prep ingredients that can be used in many meals throughout the week. So it's almost like a form of meal planning. And that one is going to be live here in the Food Connection Kitchen. That registration should be opening up here online this afternoon, and we'll send a link to do so. Registration's limited to, or rather, participants are limited to 25 because it is going to be live here in the kitchen. That will be free. We'll send that registration link out to you. All right, without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Chef T, where she's going to start off our demo today with a beautiful sheet pan stir fry.
All right. Hello, folks. Thanks for hanging with us with our technical difficulties. It's always, we're always learning and we're always developing new skills. I have a sheet pan stir fry for you today, and we're going to do this really quickly. Now, we always try to magic of TV, all of our stuff. So I have a pan prepared. I'm going to show you how I do that, but I'm going to go ahead and pop that in the oven so that it can start roasting, because part of what I want to show you is that we're going to toss the sauce in with the veggies in just a few minutes. So let's get that sauce together first. So this is a very basic soy, rice wine vinegar, sesame seed oil kind of sauce. I'll go over all of the ingredients as I set them out here. I'm going to put them on this side so you can see. So I have some fresh minced ginger, minced garlic. That's about 3 large cloves. I always do more garlic and ginger than what the recipe calls for. This is a tablespoon of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of sesame oil, 3 tablespoons of hoisin sauce. If you're not familiar with hoisin, it's kind of like barbecue, only it's not quite as sweet, and it's got a little bit more of a spice profile to it. So it's really nice. I've got 2 tablespoons of a dark soy sauce. And then I have a tablespoon of rice wine vinegar. So all we're going to do, this is a little bit more than your sheet pan, but all we're going to do is toss this together and give it a whisk. So I'm going to throw in my minced ginger and garlic, and then the vinegar, the soy, the hoisin I might need to scoop out with my little spatula here. And then I'm going to stir in the, it's been sitting out long enough, in this humidity,
The Hockey Brown Sugar.
Hockey brown sugar. So let's smash that down in there and give that a stir. Get that all happy together before we add our sesame sauce. Man, that's already smelling so good. All right. This forms our marinade and our sauce. So what I'm going to do is I have some extra firm or some firm tofu that I have pressed, and I've cut it into little wedges like this, and I'm just going to throw some tofu blocks in here, probably about 8, and because that's what will fit nicely on our pan. You can do about 3 ounces per person.
Can you talk about pressing tofu?
Pressing tofu, basically, tofu that's sold commercially here in the States is usually sold in water. It's in a package that contains a little bit of water. And what you need to do, especially unless you have a pre-baked or seasoned tofu, you'll need to press some of that water out so that it doesn't come out while you're cooking the tofu, and it can dilute your flavorings. And what we love tofu for is because it's a great vehicle for flavorings. So I take these little cutting boards right here and I sandwich it in between 2, and then I'll put a couple of cans, maybe of beans, something in my pantry on top, and that will press it slightly, and the water will come out of it. I might even put it on something that'll tilt it slightly into the sink or into another pan to catch the water that comes off of it. You can also buy tofu presses, and I've seen really cute ones. I got my niece one that was a turtle because she loves turtles and vegetarian cooking. So 2 birds with 1 stone there. So you can buy tofu presses. Basically, it's like a rubber band that pushes a board down onto your tofu. So we're just going to leave that in that sauce for a moment while we prepare the veggies. I'm going to start off with these beautiful multicolored carrots, and I'm just going to do a small amount for you today. It's not quite as much as what's in the recipe, but I'm just trying to keep things tight because it's just us in the kitchen right now. But if you're doing this for the family, of course, you want to use as big of a sheet pan as you want to and put on as much as you want to. The caveat to doing sheet pan cooking, though, is that you want to give it enough room. You want it 1 layer so that it doesn't just sit there and steam. You want it to roast because that way it will evaporate the water and start to caramelize the sugars, and that's what we love about roasting. So on the carrots, I'm going to show you a real fun and easy cut. I'm going to throw my peels into my discard bowl. This is called just a roll cut, and basically you leave your knife in the same position and you roll your carrot. And when it's skinny, I'm going to make these kind of wide, but as it gets thicker, I'm going to go just a little bit thinner. And I think this is a fun one if your kids are helping out in the kitchen too, to just, because you're just rolling the carrot and making it a cut, and it's pretty safe. Making this very narrow, and then I will toss into my bowl. I'll do a few of the maroon as well because that's going to look really nice. All carrots started out as maroon when they were first grown in ancient Mesopotamia or modern day Iran. And it wasn't until William of Orange that we bred a lot of orange carrots. So we love incorporating all the different colors and varieties here for diversity. All right, so I'm just tossing those with a little olive oil, salt, and pepper. And you're gonna notice a trend here. That's what I'm gonna do. And I'm just gonna make a stripe of carrots down the side. Then I'll do the same with my celery. I'm gonna take off the ends, toss those in my bowl, and then I'm gonna cut into thick diagonals so that I get pieces that are about the same volume as my carrots.
And that's really important when you're roasting.
When you're roasting, yeah, especially because some of these veg are going to roast at different times and different temperatures. Sometimes if you're trying to do 1 sheet pan, then you've got to really think about the sizes being equal. So I'm going to cut a couple of these a little smaller so that they roast at the same rate. Again, salt, pepper, just a little toss. Whoops. A little rogue sometimes when you toss. If you're not comfortable with the toss, then you may want to use a spatula. It's probably a lot cleaner. All right, next we're going to do a little bit of red cabbage here. I'm just going to cut the core out, toss that away, and actually I may only do a quarter of this. This is going to give us lots of color. You know, we're told all of our lives, we need to eat more veggies and incorporate a lot more color in what we're eating. And this is a great, easy way to do it. So I'm just going to toss my blocks of cabbage onto the pan. I'm not going to toss them because I kind of want them to stay together. I just want the outside to get tender. So I'm going to just drizzle the olive oil on it on the pan, and then a little bit of salt and pepper. And then I've got this broccoli here. I'm going to cut the florets kind of close up to the head of the florets. And I'm holding on with my claw at the top of the florets here. And now I love using the whole stalk of broccoli usually. So I'm going to peel this. Now, if you ever get broccoli slaw and it's kind of tough, it's because they didn't peel it well. But the broccoli stalk is actually very tender, very sweet, so delicious. If you don't want to incorporate it or if your family won't eat it, it's a great snack while you're chopping up stuff. And I'm going to make these florets kind of small. Now you could easily split this up, but we're trying to show you the one pan method today. So I've got a little olive oil, salt, and pepper. And we're just going to toss. And that's going in the middle next to the cabbage, spreading it out a little bit. I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. Spreading it out. Look at that color already.
Like a rainbow.
It's going to be a rainbow of stir fry. Then we've got these beautiful local mushrooms from Ashbourne Farms, and they're just, we can't get over the beautiful blue color. They call it blue. It's kind of a grayish brown. Absolutely gorgeous. And I'm just going to chop those into big slices, and you can use most of the stem on these oyster mushrooms. They're very tender, and it may just be the very end that's a little bit tough and that you just have to take off to discard. And same thing there, oil and salt and pepper. Now, why am I not just throwing everything in together? Because I do want to keep the veggies somewhat separate while they roast. And that way, if something gets a little bit more done, I'm not trying to pick pieces out. I can just pull off one row. Lastly, I have this gorgeous sweet potato. Oh, and the one thing I do need to stop and do is to toss my example with the sauce. So,
and I can answer too. The mushrooms are from Ashbourne
Farms. I think which is in LaGrange, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right. They do have a presence at
the farmers market.
Yes. On Saturdays for sure. Yes.
So you can see my tofu here. That's already been marinated, so I'm going to leave that alone, and I'm just going to drizzle the sauce around on all of my veggies. And you don't need to do much more than that. If you want to, you can toss it a little bit, but I'm going to stick it back in like it is, and we'll see what happens there. And then I've got a sweet potato. I have par cooked this for today's demo. You can cut it up into really small chunks instead of doing that. But I just put it in for about 20 minutes this morning, and that way I could peel it easily. You could leave the peel on. Of course, that gives you lots more fiber and minerals and some vitamins. But I'm taking that off today to get this orange color to pop out. And peel that. Then I'm just going to slice this. Since it's pre-cooked, I'm going to slice it just directly across. Like there's a little something there. I'm going to get rid of that. And then these you can just lay out. And lastly, we have our tofu.
And the way that Tanya's laying that out, the more surface area that's touching the sheet pan, the more of that delicious caramelization you're going to get. And that's where flavor and texture comes in. Absolutely.
And I'm just doing salt and pepper. Now, if you wanted to make yourself some kind of like really spicy, like a 5-spice mix or a Szechuan mix or something, that would be something you could incorporate. I'm keeping it pretty basic today, though. And I'm just pulling the tofu out. And we want to roast the tofu about 12 minutes or so before adding our sauce. I'm just going to crowd this a little bit together here. Before adding our sauce to anything else, I'm roasting this for about 12 minutes. So I'm going to pop that in the oven.
get a question about oil on vegetables.
The oil that I'm using is just any kind of neutral cooking oil. Today I have an expeller pressed canola. So this, by being expeller pressed, it's cold pressed. So there are the concerns with heat processing with the canola here. But you can. How do I know how much to use? Well, I kind of eye it, but what you could do is you could, especially if you have a particular amount, I think have particular amounts listed on the recipe, you might want to try like half a teaspoon. And what we're looking for is to coat slightly. But if you can see, I don't know if you can tell, there's no oil left in the bottom of my tossing pan. So I just want a little bit to prevent it from drying out and to help with the browning of the vegetables. And we're still trying to provide a little bit of a barrier so that things don't stick, even though I have a parchment layer on the pan. So I don't want to saturate it. I don't want to drown it. It's just enough to kind of make sure to coat all the surfaces, and it helps the salt sort of stick to the vegetables as well and start to dissolve and give us our seasoning. Does that answer your question?
I think it was a great answer.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pull out. It might be a little bit premature. You would wait a few more minutes. You just want the sauce to concentrate a little bit and coat the veg. But we're going to go ahead and pull this out. It's already starting to bubble, so we're good. I did a little extra here. I did some Brussels sprouts as well because, you might have anything in your share. You might find anything at the farmer's market. You can incorporate whatever you like in this stir fry. So I'm just going to take a couple pieces, actually 3, because for some reason odd numbers look better on a plate. I don't know the info behind that. But now I'm just going to take my veggies, give them a little mix, because this is our stir fry, right? So we can mix it all in together. It's colorful and hot and hearty and beautiful. These red peppers here, which I didn't cut up for you, just had a couple that Vanessa actually lent me. Mine haven't come in yet today. So I want to make sure I get a little bit of everything.
Those red peppers were grown by a UK professor in Danville, so they are still local.
They are still local. All right, beautiful color. And then just for a very simple garnish, I've got these local green onions, and we're going to take some of the greens. Now, I like to cut these really hard on the diagonal to get this nice little sort of oval shape. Let's trim that one up real quick. And so I'm going to cut really hard on the diagonal, very thin. So we get these neat little, you could also cut this into a julienne or straight across and make little coins, whatever you like to do. I just like the visual interest of this. Sometimes we eat with our eyes first. We were talking about some issues related to that, but there is that was pretty quick, y'all. Sheet pan stir fry.
That looks so good.
Great. So I will get out of your way. This with me.
And as we're doing a little bit of transition here, I want to make sure that we answered all of your questions. Shannon's asking if the tofu gets crisp on the outside.
It gets firm, Shannon. It gets firm, but it does not get crisp. It's hard to get crisp in it baking in the oven.
Yeah.
We'll just
You almost need a cornstarch or a rice flour coating or breadcrumb or whatever your sort of starchy crumb of choice is, and that will help with getting the tofu crisp. But when you're just doing a marinade like that, it's really not going to get like that crispy, crunchy that you might be thinking of.
And maybe an air fryer.
Or maybe an air fryer, which I know a lot of people do have. Okay, good. All right. So what I'm going to do for you here first today is going to be a sheet pan gnocchi. And let me go on and get okay. So is there anyone who doesn't know what gnocchi is? I feel like they have gotten really popular in the last few years. When I first started cooking in Lexington, I tell you what, they were not as popular. And at the restaurant that I worked at, we used to just call the dishes crazy names that had gnocchi in them, like just to draw people's attention so they could be like, what is that? But gnocchi is classically an Italian potato dumpling. It's often used like pasta, but it's made from mashed potatoes and flour, maybe a little bit of egg, a little bit of salt. And that's really it. Since they've gotten very popular, you'll find all sorts of proliferations and versions of gnocchi out there. You can find sweet potato gnocchi. You can find ricotta gnocchi. You can also find gluten-free gnocchi. This is a cauliflower gnocchi, which I found at Trader Joe's in the freezer aisle. And it's pretty popular. It's not quite the same texture-wise, but if you're looking for a non-potato, non-wheat version of gnocchi, that would be an option for you. The flours in there are cassava and potato starch. So, but it's a very sort of comforting, great fall transition ingredient. It's very comforting. If you like pillowy dumplings, then gnocchi is for you. And usually it's boiled, right? Yes. It's usually boiled and then either sauteed with butter and sage or maybe topped with a sauce. So what we're doing today is sheet pan, because I was talking earlier about having that sort of caramelization occur with texture when the food is in contact with the sheet pan. And with gnocchi, you don't even have to boil it first. You can put it right on the sheet pan and it becomes a little bit crisp, a little bit, it dries out a little bit, and you have this really nice interplay of textures and flavor from the caramelization. So what this recipe uses, and again, we will be sending out all of the recipes as well as a recording of this video to everyone who's registered today. So if you're not seeing an exact measurement or ingredient, don't sweat it. We're going to send you the recipes. So I'm throwing in, it's going to be about half of a red onion, just cut into slivers, as you can see here. And the cool thing with Tanya's stir fry and also with mine, you can really use any recipe that you, or rather any vegetables that you like. If you don't like onion, don't use onion, okay? If you have some tomatoes coming from your garden and they're not cherry tomatoes, go on and cut up that tomato, it's fine. But what we're using today is a variety of cherry tomatoes. A lot of these are from Elmwood Stock Farm in Scott County. Let's see, what else am I going to toss in there today? I'm going to toss in some yellow bell pepper as well as some red and green pepper just to make it kind of festive looking. I'm also going to toss in a little bit of garlic that I've chopped from Blue Moon Farm. Oh, too, if you don't want to chop up peppers, you can also use those little baby peppers and just cut them in half lengthwise, and that's just even less prep than usual. So you can see here, this is looking really pretty. I've got a beautiful array of colors, and there's some flavors going on in here. For seasoning, I'm just going to add a little bit of crushed red pepper, and that's just to your liking. I'm going to add some pepper and some salt. And when we will have a magic of TV moment here where we're showing everything, I'm just tossing these together first. I'm going to add a little bit of oil, and this is just helping everything get really evenly distributed. Okay, and then I'm going to add my gnocchi. So you can do either one that you like. I'll show you the shelf stable today because that is going to be another option for gnocchi. These are found on the shelf. You do not have to refrigerate them until you open them. They tend to have maybe a little bit more ingredients than something that you would make at home, but they're a really great staple to keep in your pantry. If any of you followed along with our Pantry Basics demo last month, this is something that might be on the slightly zhuzhed up pantry list, but it's a good thing to keep. I'm just opening that and putting that in my bowl. I'll probably add rogues. Probably add a little bit more olive oil.
Right away today.
I know.
We do have lots of gnocchi fans in the chat room today, and fans of the Trader Joe's gnocchi and the cauliflower.
You know, I keep it in my freezer. That is also a pantry staple for me. It's just something that's easy and quick when I really don't know what I want to make for dinner. So the last thing that I'm going to add today is a little bit of rosemary, which is also local because I stole it from my neighbor's garden. So I know she wouldn't mind, and I did a quick pick this morning. So what we can usually do is run a little knife through that. I have a knife somewhere, which I happen. But the reason why you want to kind of cut the rosemary when it's even when it's fresh like this, is because it can be, thank you, just a little bit unpleasant to bite into a whole needle of rosemary. Although I know some people do like it. So giving that a really, really, really rough chop. I'm going to give that another toss. I have my little sheet pan here. The recipes that we're demonstrating for you today are for a traditional 13 by 18 size sheet pan. We do suggest using a sheet pan that is rimmed or has sides, because whenever you're cooking something with oil or liquid, it's just going to be a little bit safer. You're not going to drip all over the oven floor. But just for today's purposes, we're using smaller sheet pans for you. So just like Tanya said, you want to try and spread things out as much as possible. So we're just going to go on and do that. I mean, it looks pretty already, but it's going to go in the oven at about 425, 450, and it takes about 20 minutes, and you want to rotate it halfway through. And then you can just sort of use your eyes to see if you want it to be a little bit more done, maybe get things a little bit crispier. I'm going to toss this in the oven. And you saw how quickly I put together. Now, granted, I did have everything sliced up first, but if you were to use cherry tomatoes, that takes almost no time. You could use those baby peppers chopping up. It doesn't take any time, really. And then you would just be messing with some onion, which you could honestly also get pre-cut if you wanted to.
In the produce section.
Yep, in the produce section. So you can see really how simple that was to put together. Someone's asking about frozen veggies. It would be fine. I mean, because especially if you're using that frozen gnocchi, so then everything would be sort of starting out at the same temperature. But what can happen with frozen veggies a little bit is they do release water, right? So you're going to be sacrificing a little bit in that caramelization, a little bit in that sort of roasty quality that a sheet pan can give. But if it's easier for you and it gets you to eat your vegetables, do it. I mean,
yeah, just expect it to be a little steamed rather than
roast. Yeah. So, all right, so that was super fast. Now I'm going to do a little transition. Let me see. I'm going to do this, and I'll show you the sheet pan gnocchi as it comes out. What I'm doing next is a little bit funny, but I am embracing the breakfast for dinner. If anyone has made pancakes for their family, or even just for one other person, it's kind of a pain, right? Because you're sitting there working hard, making pancakes, and as they come out is when they're best, but you have to wait until they're all done, right? And so what I'm going to show you today is a way to sort of avoid all of that, because we're going to do sheet pan pancakes. So,
I love some Brinner here in the chat room.
Brinner. I know, when I told Tanya that I was doing this, she was like, ooh, Brinner. I was like, yes, that's definitely what it is. So it's a very basic buttermilk pancake recipe, but it has a twist because we like to do a twist, right? So what I'm doing here is I've got some buttermilk, which I always like to use for pancakes. I'm going to add 1 egg. Egg is from Elmwood Stock Farm. You can see it's got that really nice sort of golden color. I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla. You could use any extract that you like, but I like a little bit of vanilla. I'm going to add just regular white sugar. And again, we will be sending all of the recipes out to everyone. And I'll throw just a little bit of salt in there. So I'm getting that nice and whisked up, basic. And then in here is just basic all-purpose flour, baking powder, and baking soda. Probably what I'm going to do is add the wet to the dry, because that's going to get me a little bit of a better result, a little less lumps. So that's just a very basic recipe. And of course, you could absolutely, if you have a mix that you like better, please use that. But here's where the fun part comes in. So I've got a little bit of butter here that's softened. I'm going to brush my sheet pan with this. If you'd like to use pan spray, then that would be another option as well. Sometimes I use both, to be honest, just in case. Yeah, Tanya's nodding in the background. I'm going to go on and pour this. Sometimes that happens when you use too small of a container. But I'm not too worried. Go on and spread that out. In the recipe, we'll see that it does suggest a nice large bowl, and I was trying to be too quick. But you know, sometimes it happens. All right. So we've got our pancake batter in there. And then the fun thing is going to be dividing this into quadrants, because the other thing that's kind of a pain in the butt when you're making pancakes is when everyone wants something different, right? So we're going to avoid all of that. And I'm going to sort of visually divide this into quadrants and make 4. There we go. I'm going to make 4 different kinds of pancakes. So on one quadrant, I'm putting some chocolate chunks because I like a little bit of chocolate. On the next quadrant, I'm going to do a little bit of, I think I've got some homemade strawberry jam here. I'm just going to do a little bit of dollops. You could use any kind of jam you like. I'm also going to top that with raspberries. It's going to be the berry portion. I've got a banana. Banana pancakes are nice. And again, this is taking out all of that. I want that. No, I want that. Because once you cut it up, then everyone can have what they want. And then here, just in the spirit of the season, I've got some brown sugar mixed with pumpkin spice. And I'm going to go on and sprinkle that on top. And so what you can see here is there's going to be something for everyone, right? So I'm going to go on and stick this in the oven. This goes on your, once you decide to make this, you're going to preheat your oven to 500 degrees. And I know that sounds super duper scary, but what you're doing is you're going to provide those pancakes with a blast of heat. So the raising ingredient, the raising agents, the baking soda and the baking powder are going to be able to really react quickly. But then as soon as you put the pan in the oven, you turn it down to 400 degrees, which is kind of a much more reasonable temperature. So I'm going to go on and do that. And then you can see here what it looks like when it comes out. Again, magic television and all that. What the recipe does suggest is that when these come out of the oven, that you brush them with a little bit more melted butter just to give it shine. You get a little bit of extra flavor there, and it also mimics coming off of the grill. I saw that we had a question come up if we will get the recording sent out, and yes, as soon as we get everything processed and uploaded to YouTube, then we'll send everyone a resource email with all of our recipes as well as the recording of today. All right, and then all you got to do is plate this up. So let's see, I think I'm going to maybe do it in eighths here. some of them might have a few options in one pancake, which sounds pretty good to me. And then you can top this, of course, as you like, with maybe some extra fruit or maybe some maple syrup. We'll follow Tanya's rule of 3. So I think I'm going to put some maple syrup on the side here. Maybe go extra decadent with a little bit of whipped cream and raspberries. You gotta have fruit in the morning, right? Okay, so I think you all can see that all right? How quickly, again, that came together in sheet pan pancakes. I'm gonna grab my gnocchi really fast. So this gnocchi, again, from the power of television, we did have this already made up, and you can see how nice and roasty and toasty everything got. I actually did a mix of the cauliflower gnocchi and the traditional gnocchi in here. So if you see some gnocchi that look a little bit different, that's why. They have some nice, really crisp edges. The onion and the pepper got all sweet and caramelized. And then just as a little extra flavor, I've got some really pretty, fresh, beautiful elephant leaf. Is it elephant leaf basil? The really big leaves. These were from Martin Mill Farm. They also have a presence at the farmer's market. And then I've got some cheese. I don't know what thank you. I'm just going to use a microflame to grate a little bit of Pecorino Romano over that. You could, of course, use Parmesan as well. It's just an aged, this one is a sheep's milk cheese. The Parmesan is cow's milk. We all have our preferences. That's it. We've got this right here. Again, you got your vegetables, you got your starch, you got a little bit of cheese, and I call that lunch today, later. So I'm gonna put that here. So there, we had 3 dishes. We actually finished under time. Put these out for you so you can see everything. And you know, these are the kinds of dishes that are going to appeal to a wide variety of tastes, ages, and it's just something that we thought would be neat to present to you today. So I want to see if we have any other further questions. We're happy to answer anything about any of the recipes that you've seen here today, or if you have other sort of random cooking questions, you can try us. We might have an answer. Maybe. Like everyone is just probably super jealous that we get to eat this for lunch.
Yeah, yeah. I hope you ate. I hope you eat before these, because it can make you quite hungry.
Yes. Oh, we got some jealousy going on.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, thank you guys. And again, in case you didn't hear, we will be sending out all of the recipes as well as the recording. And any question, if you think it's odd, you can still throw it our way and we might, where did my apron come from? Oh man, you know what? I have no idea. It does say the best restaurant in town though, so maybe if you use that phrase to Google, yeah, then you might be able to find it. Yeah, it is a cute one though. All right, great. Do you guys make your own mayo? Yeah, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
if you're nervous about the raw egg, getting a local egg, at least you know where that egg is coming from. But there is also a technique that you can use if you coddle the egg first. So Tanya might be a little bit better to explain this than I am, but basically coddling is briefly cooking an egg
in the shell.
In the shell for a minute?
Yeah, it's like a minute. And yeah, again, you want to use a local egg, get your water to a rolling boil, and then you're lowering it in there for about 90 minutes, 90 seconds. It's the same technique you also use for making Caesar dressing, but that will bring the yolk up to the appropriate temperature if you're nervous about it. But it won't cook your egg, right?
So it's still going to be liquid, so you'll still be able to get that emulsification that you're looking for.
Kind of like a pasteurization. You can also get pasteurized egg yolks as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you may want to try that, and it would be about an ounce. An egg yolk is right around 3/4 to an ounce. Yeah. By volume.
Yeah. But I've made my own mayo a lot before.
I prefer it unless I'm serving an audience that might have difficulty.
Like immunocompromised.
Yeah. But it's just a better flavor. I make mine really jazzed with a lot of acid, whether that's the vinegar or the lemon juice.
Yes.
And then I add a little bit more Dijon too. So it's real tangy.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh, you can add fresh herbs, you can use different vinegars, different citrus, garlic.
Totally worth it. If you're gonna spend the calories on mayo, totally
make it yourself.
Yeah.
It's a totally different animal. All right, we got some more apron talk. All right, excellent. Ooh, making mayo and butter. Yes, I've pretty much only accidentally made butter.
Yeah. I've done the little jar. Now my grandmother had the churn and the butter paddles and the little things to make the stamp in the top of the bowl.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I've only made the shake it in your jar.
Yeah. But that sounds delicious. Excellent. All right. Any other questions? Thank you. We love working together.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen any of the demos or other classes that are in the Food Connection kitchen, you can't see too much of it behind us now, but this is a lovely, lovely space to learn, to become more confident in the kitchen, to learn different flavors and cuisines that maybe you're familiar with. Tanya, do you have some classes coming up soon?
Friday, you should join us. We have our first Friday breakfast. We're going to have breakfast right here, and then the lecture will happen downstairs. If you're not familiar with us, we are on campus, on UK's campus at the 90 building, which is a residential dining hall. It has some franchises up front for the kids to eat from, and then classrooms and our lovely, you can see part of the space up here. But basically, we love to get you in this space and hands-on classes with the food, but First Friday is actually a lecture, and then you don't have to do the work for that piece. We do a locally sourced breakfast. This Friday, we'll be honoring Mary Berry of Berry Beef and Home Place Meats and the Berry Center. You may know her as the daughter of Wendell Berry. So we're giving her our Bill Best Award for her contributions to local food systems. And so we'll have Berry Beef brisket tacos, breakfast tacos.
I'm hungry.
Breakfast for dinner. We're going to have kind of dinner for breakfast. And we'll have some spiced local sweet potatoes grown by our very own Kristen Jacobson, and a slaw with cabbage from Clee's Family Market. So you should join us, and then Mary will be speaking, and our executive director, Ashley Wright, and she will be having a conversation with
Yeah, if you're interested in reading,
don't want to
I'll
miss
leave it
it.
out instead of passing
You
it
can
all.
find the info about that on our Facebook page. Outside of that, we don't have
You can give it back to me, so I'll probably go through it.
community classes until next spring, but you can find us on social media at UK Food Connect, and that's where we announce everything that's upcoming. We do have some community classes. The ones that are left for the year are sold out right now.
They've been really, really popular. So it's just something to keep at the front of your brain. If you know that you have some time coming up in the next semester, go and check out the Food Connection website, check out their calendar, because they're always cooking up something really great.
But there's our class they can sign up.
Yes. So again, as I mentioned in the beginning of the class today, we will be hosting a live in the kitchen demo November 15th, 12:15 to 1:15. and we will be talking about ways that you can prepare items that will last through the week, and you can put them together in different combinations that'll give you lots of opportunities for different meals. So it's another way of looking at meal planning that's not quite so static. It allows you to be creative and sort of think about what you want to eat that day, but still have those ingredients ready to eat in your refrigerator. So again, that'll be November 15th from 12:15 to 1:15 here in the Food Connection Kitchen, not via Zoom. Because space is limited, we'll be limiting this class to 25 participants. It will be free, and sign up is on your UK Wellness dashboard. It should be open now. It was supposed to open at noon. So I've been here, I haven't checked it. Hopefully it is, but we will be sending you that link also in the resource email that will come out once we get everything uploaded to YouTube. We likely will not be recording that class just because of the challenges of having a room full of people. It's a little bit difficult to do the camera work. We are clearly not professionals at that. So, but thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really appreciate seeing all of your questions and participation. And anytime any of you have any questions, you can always respond back to that resource email, and we'll be happy to answer those for you. All right, thank you guys so much. Enjoy this beautiful fall day.
Hope to see you in November.